Hey everybody, this is IndieGeek, and today I am taking a look at the Banner Saga. So this is a game by Stoic, and they are a development team made up of ex-members of BioWare. And that will become relevant as soon as you see kind of how the game works, because the game works in two parts. One is the combat, and the other is kind of the choice and dialogue decision tree system. So, with that being said, I'm pretty much just going to jump right in here. So I'm just going to restart my game, and that is fine. I played about an hour, maybe, and I'm just going to start over and kind of explain to you my impressions of the game so far. And I think this is a game that there's a decent chance that I'm just going to Let's Play the whole thing through, and if I do decide to do that, what I will do is episode 1 of the Let's Play will just pick up wherever my save in this ends off. So, we've got our little intro here. The gods are dead. In their wake, man and giant survived through a tenuous alliance. Driving black destroyers called... it went away. I hope you read it. Sorry about that. Thought I'd have a little more time to read. So, right off the bat, as always, I'm going to talk about the art and music here.
It has been several long months on the road. The first signs of snowfall accost us on our approach to Strand, largest of the trade cities on the Val-human borders, and our last collection before returning to the capital. Several days ago, the sun simply came to a stop in the sky. Though during these long winter days, none of us can be certain how long it has been this way. Some of the men in the caravan have taken it as a dire omen. I am not quick to superstition, but I myself will be glad to be done with this year's rounds. We have been warned by stranded travelers about brigands on the path through Ridgehorn, our road home. Our captain seems unconcerned. Perhaps he is as eager as I to be done here. We will rest here this day and inquire further when we speak to the governor.
Okay. Sorry about that. I just don't want to speak over the voice acting, which is, like, absolutely excellent voice acting throughout the entire thing. If you watched my video on Broken Age yesterday, I have a lot of the same feelings about the Banner Saga that I did about Broken Age. This is a game that just has ridiculous amounts of like quality put into every single thing. So like the first thing that hit me when I was playing was the art style, and the art style is just beautiful. Like it just like perfectly fits with everything that's going on in the game, as well as the music. I feel exactly the same way about the music, because you know, everything's got kind of this you know, it's all based on Vikings, and the music and the art all kind of feels like it's really capturing all of that. So here we have our combat system. So you've arrived just in time. The chieftain in red and his men are now looking at a tougher fight than they bargained for. Click and drag them around the screen to see your surroundings. So we can drag around the battlefield. So this is the combat system I was talking about, and it is a combat system akin to something like Fire Emblem, right? Or Final Fantasy Tactics. So we've got that kind of combat system going on. So down here, basically we just get our order of turns. So the first thing we're going to do is move, and because we are a race of giants, we can see here that we actually take up more space than a normal human, which I haven't seen that kind of thing done too often now that I think about it, I think Fire Emblem probably does that if you're on a horse. But it's that kind of system, right? And then so we get to click on the enemy, and we can either choose to attack their strength, which also is their health, or we can choose to break their armor. But we do 5 attack, so what we can do is we can just attack strength and just kill them right away. Perfect. So we get renown, which is essentially our experience. So now it is their turn. So my character was really strong, so he was able to dodge most of that. So this is the willpower system, and we can use, so like we were using willpower here to move into the yellow area. That basically costs willpower for us to use, and you can see over on the left we've got our willpower marked. So then I can use abilities, and so this is the Tempest ability, which will allow me to hit both of them, which is perfect. And abilities also cost willpower, and then we can also use willpower to increase our strength. So that made quick work of the chieftain's bodyguards. When there's only one enemy left, players enter pillage mode. During pillage, each character moves in order, and there are no more guaranteed turns. Check the initiative to see how the order has changed. Your allies now get to move twice in a row. If the character does not move on his turn, he can rest to regain 1 willpower. The chieftain will rest this turn. So what I can do is I can attack, and then I can use a willpower, like I was saying, to actually attack him for more. So I was able to increase my attack just enough to finish the chieftain off. So that was kind of our tutorial for the combat system.
Like a rabid wolf, that one. How did it come to this? We fool ourselves believing that peace will last. My grandfather built all this from a poor fishing village, you know. He watched the gods die, watched the chaos that followed, watched man and varg slaughter each other, even before the threats arose. All we've done is traded one struggle for another. Now that there are no more threats to war against, we war against ourselves. This chieftain meant to kill me, and he's not the first. A dozen families in the city would gladly take my chair. This one had men waylaying merchants, both north and south of the city, strangling trade. Quite well, I would add, though he denied it to his last. This sort of wolf doesn't stop biting because the head is cut off. It just grows a new head. I am in a bad way, my friend. Help me finish this fight, and I'll gladly send you on your way with double our king's tithe. Take any men you need. They're loyal, I promise you that. They will meet you down in the proving grounds.
Alright, so that pretty much finishes up the tutorial of the game. So now we are starting into Chapter 1 proper. Alright, you're approached by a familiar man who walks in step with you as you're leaving the Great Hall. He cuts to the chase. So here is, this is why I mentioned that the developers of the game were BioWare developers, because this is where we get kind of our classic kind of BioWare decision and kind of dialogue system here. So, Eilric, Steward of Strand, I manage the governor's business. Ubin, isn't it? It is. The governor tells me you'll be giving us a hand. What did you have in mind? So, you see that I get to make the decisions, and I would assume that different decisions produce different outcomes in the story. Okay, scalfings that you didn't hack up in the Great Hall scattered after you took out their chieftain. The governor just wants to make sure they stay down. Was hoping you'd join me at the marketplace by the docks. If there's anyone left to worry about, I know who can tell us. So then we get our little symbol here telling us to head over here to the docks. And Eirik says, let me handle this. You meander through rows of open-faced houses and eroded stalls. Colored canvases flap on a briny current. One man in particular blanches as you approach. Had, I'm not in the mood today. For what? Talking to an idiot. The Scalfing's chieftain bled out about an hour ago, Had. So when you tell me what rat anus the rest of them crawled back into, nobody's going to kill you this time. They don't talk to me. So then, I get to step in here. Had, I have a change of heart. I hope you do give us a hard time. Had sweats visibly, fumbling with some dirty trinkets on his table. Wait, just buy one of these. If everybody thinks I'm getting worked over every week, how am I supposed to know much? Just a little food money, yeah? And I will choose to intimidate him. You motion to Gunnulf, your enormous bodyguard, who looms over the man like a snake over a mouse. Gods, Eirik, laying it on a bit heavy, don't you think? Where are the Scalfings? Nobleman up by the east wall, but that was months ago, last I know. Had skulks away with a wave of Eirik's hand, gathering things from his hovel, disappearing for a while until this blows over, you figure. The bodyguard steps forward. Are we done here? Gunnulf, were you wearing green back at the Great Hall? No, I just bought them while you were walking around. Why? So then, we get to choose here, and I assume that this decision probably changes our relationship. And considering he is the bodyguard, I'm going to tell him that they look good. I'm glad you care. Gunnulf goes off to look at more stalls. Eirik, that man of yours seemed unreliable at best. A blind dog wouldn't trust Had, but he used to be Scalfing. If they're licking their wounds, they've probably gone to old haunts, not new ones. Nobleman is a meat hall? Best I can tell. The name's ironic. Listen, I know a guy who would love to put a few of these skulls on the ground. I'm going to find him. I'll meet you there. Shouldn't we have an approach of some sort? What a luxury. Come on, you've already mopped up worse today. Just make sure the governor remembers his promise. Double the usual tithe. I'll remind him. So, then we will head over here. You arrive in front of what must be Nobleman. A few minutes later, Eirik appears, with a weather-beaten man introduced as Valgard. I'll point them out, Eirik says over his shoulder. Ready? And then I'm going to say, you're walking through the front door? They ran to a mid-house, said Valgard. I'll be surprised if they can stand straight right now. Okay, here we go. Valgard boots the front door open so hard it won't close again without repair. As you enter the hall, Eirik is already at the head of a table, his axe drawn. Wide-eyed, drunken Scalfings scramble to find their own weapons, turning tables and mead steins in the process. So one of the things I really like is that the dialogue is, and of course this comes so much from the fact that these are developers that worked with BioWare. The dialogue is just like really descriptive of what's going on. So we get a really good idea of who these characters are and kind of what all of their motives are. So I can actually spend a little bit of my willpower here, and then I can attack this guy. And I'm just going to attack his strength, and what I can do is spend a bunch of my willpower, actually. Just go ahead and do that. So, I guess... I kind of need to talk about who this is for. First of all, if I haven't mentioned, this game is on Steam. It is $25, which... I certainly think that is worth it, considering what's here, because it is like, if you've played Fire Emblem, you know this is, you know what this kind of combat system is, and this is like a full-fledged RPG, I think I was looking around at what people were saying, and I think on average it takes people like 12 hours to play through, so it's a pretty decent length game. So you are definitely going to be getting your money's worth. And the other thing to mention is that I believe the developers have stated that they would like this to be a trilogy. It's planned as a trilogy. I don't know what the state of that is right now. Like, I don't know if they are actually going to be able to do a trilogy, but I know that is the plan. And I think there might be a bit of randomness to these battles, because we are kind of in like a different order than I seem to remember when I did this the first time, which is definitely kind of cool if there is. Oh, nice, I can just about take that guy out. One of the things I do not know is like the consequences of actually falling in battle. I don't know if that is something where if a character dies they are dead for good or what, because I'd only done a couple battles in the game, so I am not really... Oh man, that like shredded me apart. Holy cow. Guess I will go here, and I think I'm actually going to attack his armor. Just weaken him up a little. Man, how is Eirik doing? Oof, that is not good. Ooh, that is good though. So I can do that. Let's see, I will go over here because I want to finish this guy off. Oh man, but if he does... Oh no, can I... Darn, yeah, I don't think there's a way to undo your move, unfortunately. So, I guess I kind of forgot that that guy does so much damage. So, Eirik is going to fall in battle. And, unfortunately, like I said, I don't actually know what happens. Let's see, can I do Tempest again? Yes. And I will. Boom. Nice. Yeah, that was really good. And both of these guys are just about finished. So I will do that. Yeah, I mean, hopefully Eirik is not just like totally dead. That would be a little wild. But not like unheard of. I know that happens a lot in like Fire Emblem and stuff like that, so certainly could be. Okay, so Gunnulf got a promotion. Cool, got quite a bit of renown. Okay, good. There they are. Gods be damned. I've got to go wash off this blood. Eirik is looking out the hall's window onto the bay. A fleet of longships approach with sails of bold reds and blues. One banner I know well, Vogner. Next for Varl kinship last we spoke. The other flag looks important. Yeah, important guests. See what I deal with all day long? Ah, things make a little more sense. You hoped I'd have a stake in saying everything's fine here when the royal guests arrived. Not me, the governor. Now I have to make sure there are no rotting bodies or pools of entrails still in the Great Hall before they come by. Can I ask one more favor? What is it? If you happen to stall our guests down in the docks, I wouldn't object. Maybe I will. Eirik and Valgard hustle from the meat house. To his credit, Eirik tosses the barkeep a spar of silver for the mess. You give an apologetic shrug and go off to meet the new arrivals down at the docks. So I guess the nice thing we learned is that at least the main characters cannot, like, fall in battle, which makes sense. Vogner. A familiar Varl steps onto the docks. In your mind, you recall a much younger version tramping the halls of Grofheim, abundant in purpose. I really like this music track in the back. God, Zubin, you're looking ancient. Comes with being old, and if there is Vogner, there must be Hakon. Must there? Still bleeding tributes from the poor and stupid, old Yaks? At what age do you lose a sense of shame? Gerunder demands it. I'll take that over lingering to death in Grofheim. Speaking of, I had no sense that you were so far from home. Just returned from Arborang, in fact. And glad for it. Hakon motions to the other ships in the bay, sails still fluttering, golden wolf head emblazoned on red. The king of men, or someone on his behalf. The king's whelp. The king's son, Ludin. Don't you know, Scrivener? We visit his capital, he visits ours. That's how you make alliances these days. It's a miserable waste of time. Yes, Hakon has it. I'd almost forgotten. It's a good thing you're around, Hakon. Then you're going to Grofheim. I have the distinct feeling I've finished my business in Strand and was heading there myself. We should caravan. We should. Give it a day. In better circumstances, I'd drink a week away, but, let's just be done. Find me tomorrow at the gates. What he's trying to say is the prince is a delight to behold. Where is Moger? Hakon, have him find a place to put up the warriors. I'm heading up to meet the governor. A host of giants depart in his wake. You recognize a few, others are strangers to you. Guess I'm off to find Moger. See you in the morning, Scrivener. I'll be along. The young prince of men ambles from his ship. He brushes off his tunic, scanning the beach with low eyelids. Ludin looks, for all the world, the sort of boy who grew up pulling the legs from spiders. The long road back to Grofheim should be more interesting than most years, you think. Weariness suddenly settles in, and you chuckle to yourself about what an odd day it has been. One of the governor's men at the Great Hall could find you a place to sleep. On the other hand, if you're going to join Vogner's caravan tomorrow, it might not hurt to share a drink with Hakon, or introduce yourself to the prince they spoke highly of. So, it looks like now we get a choice. And, let's see. I think what I'm going to do is visit the prince. Is this the right place? You find the prince at an inn. Guards blanket the building, including a sharp-eyed Varl who must be working for Ludin. A woman in red eventually waves you over and stands nearby, arms crossed. Greetings, Prince Ludin. Yes, you're with Vogner? I don't remember you. Not exactly. I've known Vogner a long time. I'll be joining you back to Grofheim with my guards. Ludin looks up for the first time. The woman doesn't react. Why? I work for the king, carrying ties to the capital. We crossed by chance. Oh, a tax collector. Fine company. What do you want? Okay. I just want to introduce myself. You collect taxes for the Varl territories. A true pleasure. Yes. An awkwardness hangs in the air like a thick fog. You take the opportunity to depart. Okay, so it looks like these are just optional events that I can do probably as many as I want of them before I have to go to the next event to move on the story. Scrivener. You find Hakon in a meat house surrounded by other Varl. Strand is no stranger to Varro, but rarely sees this many. Hakon waves you over. Went straight for a flagon? Vogner's the one who agreed to pass up a drink. I wasn't invited to the governor's hall anyways. You already missed the massacre. Every year I make the rounds collecting taxes. Every year it's the human settlements that give me trouble. No surprise. What this time? When I got here, the Great Hall was already full of bodies. We added a few more. Ha! Humans. If only I had lived... I guess if I only lived as long as a Yoxfart, I might be desperate to make something of myself too. It's not too late to start trying, Hakon. Hakon lets slip a low chuckle. Any Varro could recount his deeds, known as he is for cutting a swath through Dredge at Vogner's side in the Second War, and regularly since then. Down here I'm a glorified bodyguard. You might have a point, just another reason to get back to Grofheim. Soon enough, I imagine. You drink until the meat house becomes overbearing, then step back into the cool air outside. So, now we will head on to the Great Hall. At dawn, you're woken by a delivery of goods. At least you think it's dawn. Damn hard to tell with a sun that never moves. The governor's crest adorns the supply leathers. All there, just as promised, to your mild surprise. You wonder if Eirik had anything to do with that. So I got 20 renown for that. Your guards take the treasure wagon down to the gates. Vogner is already there. A while later, Ludin and his men appear, groggy and disheveled. Mogr steps forward, Vogner's quartermaster, if you recall correctly, in charge of his unwieldy entourage of warriors. You know him only in passing. He asks if you're ready to depart. We are ready. You follow Mogr and join the others. Usually the smaller doors set into the gates would be enough to enter or leave the city, but the town guards have been told to push them open entirely. They mutter things under their breath that are best not heard. Perhaps the governor expected you to draw a crowd, but there's nothing of the sort. Just frustrated, tired people. It summarizes Strand well as a whole, you think. Alright, so we are leaving Strand, and at the top what we have there is the days of our trip so far. So we can see our renown. It is now day 2. We can see how many days of supplies that we have left. So we are going to the next place. The caravan stops for the day. A gift, says Mogr, cracking open mead flasks. From our gracious friend, the governor of Strand. Hours passed with raucous laughter as the mead is passed throughout the camp. So I'm going to toast to Vogner. You raise your drink, toasting the alliance between man and Varro. The others join in. Ludin's expression is like a stone wall, but the others laugh at your exaggerations. Eventually you sit down beside Vogner. So I'm going to chat with Vogner. Thanks for the speech, slurs Vogner. Looks like you didn't have to miss out after all. Thanks to Mogr, I thought the damned governor would never shut up. Did he give you the history of his entire family? He tried. Then he asked me to clean up his mess. For your benefit, turns out. I'd have given the job to you, too. Gods, there's no joy in politics. Speaking of, what happens after this business with Ludin? Hopefully the boy goes back to Arborang on his own, and I can take out some frustration on Dredge or something. Starting to sound like Hakon. You don't like the life of a diplomat? Ha! Don't you miss the fight, Ubin? You down your mead instead of replying. Vogner slouches and shakes his head. There's no great joy in killing Dredge, but this... Pretty sure this nonsense is some scheme between the two kings to force some kind of lineage. Used to be, warriors would follow you for what you've done. Isn't that why they follow you now? Is it? Or has it become because I'm the next in line? These lines are getting muddy, old Varro. They've always been muddy, Vogner. Vogner stares into the campfire, lost in thought. You leave him to it. You rise groggily. The campsite, a casualty of merriment. Mogr is already kicking warriors awake when you spot Ludin stalking your direction. He sidesteps sleeping bodies. Better wake up. You nudge Vogner. You're needed. Ah, it's Luden. Always a pleasure. You look well rested. Vogner releases a caged yawn and receives a hard-eyed stare in return. How long to Grofheim? We're only 2 days out of Strand, you know. Come on, I'll show you a map. Alright. There we go. Okay, so this is the world map. Click and drag the map to look around. A portrait icon shows where the caravan is in the world. You can also click on any location to get some history about it. When you're done with the map, click the X at the bottom of the screen. And actually, I am going to call that the end of my look at. But I can definitely tell you that I'm having a really, really good time with the game. And I think I'm almost positive that this is going to be my next Let's Play. But those are kind of my first impressions. I mean, I haven't talked much about my impressions for the last 20 minutes or so, but I talked a lot about it at the beginning, and then I just kind of showed you the different parts of the game. This is not going to be a game for everyone, because you kind of have to be ready for the dialogue sections, which, as you saw, can be they can be pretty heavy. There's a lot of dialogue, and I'm perfectly okay with that, but it might not be for everyone. And also you have to be into kind of the battle system that is going on, which again I am also into, but you may not be. So that is, it's one of those things that you're going to know if this is for you or not. But if you're into those two things, then this is like a great purchase, personally. I think it is extremely fun. The game just has tons and tons of quality behind it. The art is great, the music is great, the voice acting is great, all the dialogue is great, and the combat's great. I think the excuse me. I think the actual combat parts of the game are also great. But that is those are kind of my opinions of it. If you are into dialogue trees, if you are into kind of Final Fantasy Tactics or Fire Emblem style combat, then I would definitely say give this game a purchase. Check it out. I will have links in the description, as always, to the Steam page so that you can buy the game. But that's gonna wrap it up. So as always, leave comments if you would like to. Subscribe to my channel for more of my content every single day, and if you like my look at the Banner Saga, please consider clicking the like button, because that will help me out a lot, and I appreciate everything that you do to help. So with all of that being said, I thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.